Now, these are, I can't go through all of these, and I have slides there so you can see them. But these are concepts, and I'll comment on a few of them, that I think require, I told them not to do a flyover during my talk, but anyway, so climate proofing, food security, these are concepts, they sound great. We write about them. I write about them. But they're not really the whole story. They're probably half the story. So I gave you another slide that says why I think there's a problem with each of these. I believe you have that. Climate proof, misleading. Food security, misnomer. Should be food insecurity. Ground zero for climate change. Every place calls itself ground zero. The heck with the rest of the world. We're ground zero in New Orleans, in Bangkok, whatever. But in fact, the planet's ground zero. Deniers, people who don't believe in climate change. Well, okay, let's go on to that. There are skeptics. Not everyone who doesn't believe it is, or challenges it, is a denier. The denier is an ostrich. He's got his head in the sand. Okay, notion of climate proofing, an impossible dream. That's what I call it. You cannot climate proof any place. You can climate proof a plant, a field, perhaps. You cannot climate proof a country. The Dutch are putting $200 billion into climate proofing. They call it climate proofing. I believe the phrase is misleading. When I buy a raincoat that's waterproof, it's got to be waterproof 100%, not 60%. So when you're climate proofing, you're kind of misleading the public. They think they're protected, as the people in New Orleans felt they were protected for reasons I can explain. Food security. Oops, what happened to my picture? Ah, there it is. What are these things? These are clay wafers that they give to kids. They put a little salt on them so the kids don't ask for food for 2 days. It fills their stomach. There's no reason in the world this should be happening. We talk about food security, but a large part of the world is food insecure, not food secure. And it's not just whether you can grow it, it's whether you have $2 in your pocket or 20 cents to buy it. You don't have access to it. So there are a whole lot of issues around these phrases that I wanted to bring to your attention. Sure, okay, he's warning me, because last time I went over it, or I'm sure. All right, ground zero. There's no place to hide on Earth. I don't care, you know, Bangladesh, et cetera, every place is ground zero, but really it's the planet. And we don't have another planet, okay? There are a lot of ideas for modifying the climate system by mimicking volcanoes and putting mirrors in space. You see these. It's called geoengineering. But really, it's like a Hail Mary pass. Throw the ball down the field and hope the right person catches it. If not, we all go down. Climate change deniers. There are good skeptics. That's what science is about. We're supposed to challenge the science. And so I believe I'm a good skeptic. I know a lot about the models and the weaknesses. Okay? Let's get out of that. Dread factors. There's a search for dread factor. This is a media kind of thing. You know, let's see, there are several. Now the focus is on abrupt climate change. It can happen in decades. It doesn't take centuries and longer. The West Antarctic ice sheet falling into the ocean, raising sea level 5 to 8 meters instantaneously. Those are dread factors, low probability. All of these dread factors are designed to try to get policymakers to jump on the climate issue and do something about reducing the use of fossil fuels. The verb to be. All right, here's a bowl of cigarettes. You know, most problems that society deals with are creeping environmental changes. Today's like yesterday, tomorrow's like today. Let's deal with that later, until it becomes a crisis. All right, here are 10,000 cigarettes. All right, if we'll just keep smoking them until we drop over. But what if I told you that cigarette's the one that's going to get you? You'll stop. The problem with climate change is we don't know where the thresholds are. We don't know if we're going to cross something and it starts to kick back as a negative feedback, or if it's going to be a positive feedback and we wind up with a runaway greenhouse. Ecosystem goods and services. This one bothers me. This is a major study. This is like the IPCC, I know. This is like the IPCC, ecosystem goods and services for human well-being. If that lake doesn't help you, screw it, get rid of it. That tree doesn't help you, screw it, cut it down. Well, we should be saying human goods and services for ecosystem well-being. We need the ecosystems to survive. They don't need us. Drivers and pressures I've added. You know, there are things that it's the stuff. Stuff is what kills you, not the drivers. Okay? So I wanted to add pressures for change. They're amorphous, invisible, kind of there. They're just there. But here's Shanghai, 1987. Okay? So there are social changes going on, not just physical changes in the atmosphere. That's what it looks like, 2004. A little different. 30 seconds, 1 minute. Okay, mitigation of greenhouse gases. These two slides, mitigation and adaptation, these are terms that have been taken over by the science community, the climate science community. So when they go to the public and talk about mitigation and adaptation, the public's confused because they relabel these words. These words don't mean the same. So when they talk about adaptation or mitigation to the public, they're confused by the climate science. And it's why they lose a lot of people in this, okay? Mitigating, something we have to do is, you know, you're going to hear a lot about adapting to climate change. We're doing it through carbon counting and all that. We must think about the downstream impacts of our adaptive strategies. What are the second order and third order impacts? Geoengineering, these are the these are the scientific schemes to modify the planet's climate system. It's a Hail Mary pass and expensive. One last thing, this is a personal thing. Last year, I lost 17 pounds on purpose. I just wanted to look good. And my wife said to me after a while, put it back. You look thin. She said, gone. And I said, you have to look it up. I didn't know what it was. But anyway, so I said, I thought about it. Where will that 17 pounds go? You know, here, one side of my face? I have no idea. I couldn't go back to the 17, to where she wanted me to be. That led me to the analogy, you can't go back to the climate you want. You can't say, let's ratchet down CO2 from 390 parts per million to pre-industrial level and go back to an ice age. It doesn't work. We don't know. So many things have changed. We can't go home again, climate-wise. We have to go control the carbon and hope that we stay in some range that we like. And that's probably it. The big message, while geoengineering the planet atmosphere is called Plan B, you'll read about it in the papers, maybe you write about it, there is no Planet B. Just because they found water on Mars does not make me feel comfortable, okay? This is it. Okay, thank you.